Well, it's official. Mortgage News Daily or Mortgage, whatever the heck it's called, just put out that interest rates hit 7.01. This was a warning I've been putting out for the last couple of weeks. It just felt like we were going there. It doesn't feel like we will be here long, meaning months, but we will probably be here weeks. And I want to have a conversation with a top 1% agent around the country and remind folks what happened last time because the housing market hit a wall last time we hit 7%. And not sure if we're going to do it again. Maybe people are used to it. Maybe they're not. But let's talk to Beth Traverso. How you doing, Beth?
Hey there, doing great, Mike's. Always a highlight of my week to be here talking about my favorite topic, real estate.
So remind people what market you serve, the median
Yeah.
price, and then let's get into what happened last time rates hit 7%.
Yeah, so I am in the greater Seattle area, King County, Washington. I'm not in Seattle proper, I'm just outside of it, but work that area. Um, Last time when rates hit 7, it really was like hitting a brick wall. Everything came to a screeching halt and everything froze for a little while.
And that was
And
August of last year. Was
yeah,
that
it
right?
was summer. I want to say July, August. I mean, I'm just going off my memory, but
Sure.
it was
July, August
summer,
seems right.
last summer, which is kind of a slower time for us anyway. In our market, we tend to have the busy time in the first quarter. And then by the time we get to summer, it is a slower time for us because when the weather gets nice in the Pacific Northwest, people are out doing other things. They're going on vacation, they're outside. So the rush is over at that point. So we're up against that. And then this whiplash of the market that we had where earlier in the year it was in the total insanity with the bidding wars and the
Yeah.
people paying in my little sub market around 20-30% over list price on almost every single listing was crazy. And then that came to a halt and then rates spiked. And by the time we hit that 7%, we were in a slower time already. And everything just, nobody knew what to do. It just seemed like it just dried up for a while there. And it
Yeah, and
was really just a holding pattern for a while.
I remember because again, I love the fact that we have receipts on this channel and people can go back and look at your playlist. It has a very complicated name, Beth. That is your
Hard to
playlist.
remember. Yeah.
Really hard to remember. But yeah, it was July or August last year, and I remember having a conversation about people not even going to open houses. It
Yeah.
wasn't that there was no transactions. There was nobody going to open houses, which has to be a leading indicator
If you're
of
not getting
buyer interest.
showings or people coming to the open house, I haven't found yet that you can sell a house without people looking. I mean, I guess there's that rare
It's
person,
yeah,
but people
it's
aren't
not
looking at the
common.
houses. It's not going to sell. And so that's our first indicator is traffic and how many showings we're getting. And if that's not happening, so I know that I'm in the zone with the listing when we're getting showings, my phone is ringing and people are asking questions, specific questions about the house and the situation. And then I know offers are imminent. If we're not getting all those things, then I know that something's off. And so I remember having some difficult conversations with my sellers last summer where we're like, okay, our marketing is on point, our pricing is really good, it's lower than the recent comparables, we should be selling, we're not getting the activity. And it was a discussion of, is this the right time for them to sell? Because they can always decide to take it off the market and try again later, or press on. And the only lever left to pull is the price. And that's when did start to see prices come down, where eventually the price comes down enough, you will bring those few buyers that are out there off the sidelines. If they feel like they're getting a good enough value, they will still make offers. But then that's when we started seeing the price declines that we saw that were very prevalent during that time. We walked back all of our gains from the first part of the year by the time we were done. So with that year. So, and now we're yeah. So now I'm feeling like it's a little different though, Mike. I don't think we're going to have quite the same shock value to the market this time as we did last. I'm not seeing it yet.
Okay.
So this week, what I'm seeing, so I brought on 3 listings last week and all have been very busy. And
Okay.
we're doing an offer review on one of them today, another one tomorrow.
Wow.
And some are certain ones are extremely busy still. So,
That's
and I think a
that's
lot of these buyers, they weren't around last summer. They weren't around before. They didn't start shopping at 3%. Now they're at 7. They've always been at that point. So it's not that shocking for them.
yeah, I think that's going to be fun to watch because again, last summer, right? If you were shopping in Q1 and getting outbid and not getting it, and then you were still shopping in the summer, your interest rate went from 3.5 to 7. That's shocking. That's
Yeah.
crazy. But now, if you've been shopping for the last couple of months, you've always been around 6.5. Yes, 7 is higher. It's meaningfully higher, but it's a point higher. It's not 350 basis points higher.
Right.
Right. And you can still buy down rates, and you can get seller credit, and you can get 3% seller. So all those things we were talking about last summer, maybe it makes sense now, right? If you're shopping now at 7, I assume there's probably less buyers because less people get approved. So definitely go back and ask for seller credits is what I would be doing in an environment like this for sure.
Yeah, and again, I'm going to say case by case on that. You know, if it's a new hot listing, then you won't be able to get those credits
No,
right
true.
now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
sometimes you can. Sometimes
Where
you can't.
where does the threshold? Because again, you're absolutely right. You're the best of the best. You're here for a reason. So if it is it a week? Is it 2 weeks? Is it 3 weeks? Where's that kind of mental threshold where if you were
So
representing a buyer, you would ask for credits and feel like you have a chance?
I would say if you're after the first 7 days, you don't have to wait very long. You basically just want to know that you're past that multiple offer window. If they have an offer review date, don't even bother with that conversation until after the review date.
Okay.
And if the review date comes and goes and it's still available a couple of days after that, then I would be calling the agent and just float it as a conversation topic.
Yeah, and again, it has to make sense, right? Everybody knows rates are now over 7. I think a 3% credit would get most people back to 6, which is probably where they felt comfortable shopping.
Yeah.
So
And
it feels like a good give to get.
It's going to depend on everybody's situation because it's interesting how in my market, I don't really think somebody's going to flame me for this, but I'm not seeing it being an affordability issue more than just a comfort issue. Because incomes are really high in this area where I am.
Yeah.
And the average buyer out there oftentimes can qualify for more than what they want to spend, even at 7%. But it's more they're just looking at the whole package of their stock portfolio, their job security, everything. And the payment, of course, they're looking at that too. But a lot of times it's not necessarily the affordability crunch that it might be for some. But so because in the past, we know when I was having that, we were just talking about before when we hit 7, what we put together some sheets working with our lenders, like, hey, if we do this buy down, you can get this, and da, da, da. Nobody was really buying that. Nobody was taking that, even though it was being offered out there, which was really interesting to me because for me, it just seems like that would make sense to negotiate that a little bit. That could be even more meaningful than a price reduction for a lot of people.
For sure.
Because the price is just one part of it. And it's not, for some people, it's a big psychological part. But if you can get your payment down with a rate buy down, that would make sense. But a lot of people, when we offered that, they would just take the credit toward the closing cost, or they would just take it off the price. They would say, oh, well, let's just take this 15,000 or whatever off the price.
Yeah. If it doesn't matter to the seller, I'll take,
you choose. Yeah. You pick this A, B, or C. It's your choice. But I thought it was interesting how people weren't choosing the rate buy down. Yeah. But again, it's case by case. Maybe some people just didn't really understand it, but we try to make it easy to explain.
Yeah, the other thing that I think is interesting right now versus last year, and it's amazing how these numbers lap. Realtor.com just put it out that Seattle is the #1 market year on year for inventory collapse, down 41%. Now I think that was April number, so I don't know if May's gotten any better or worse.
No,
but
not any
it's
better.
Shocking to see inventory down 40% year on year. That's wild.
And we're still seeing it. I even just checked right before I jumped on this call with you. I jumped right on the MLS to see what's going on today, and I looked at my area on the east side. I looked at Seattle proper, and I looked at King County as a whole, and we're seeing more houses going pending than new listings coming on.
Wow.
The gap is, but I've been seeing that every single week after week after week, where it's just down, down, down. And
so your days on market have to be falling.
Yeah, it's about 6. Down a peak to 35. Now we're at 6. That's what I'm saying. We're back to multiple offers again. Even in the tech heavy areas, like there's a town called Sammamish where there's a whole lot of software engineers, and that market was crickets last summer, and now it's hot again. And I'm seeing these 90s subdivision homes going for 100,000, 100 plus, sometimes 1,000 over list price again.
Wow, not good.
people waited as long as they could wait. I think there's a lot of that too. I get a lot of people saying my buyers have been looking for a year. They got to move. Mom is moving in and she has nowhere to stay, or whatever the case is, whatever their story is, they need a house and they can't wait around forever.
So yeah, so in an environment where inventory is down 40%, where pendings outnumber new listings, it's not shocking that a 7% is not slowing demand, because again, the supply curve is it's down 40%. So even if the demand fell 20%, you're still, you're ahead of the game. So do you think there's a number? Is it 8%? Because we never touched 8. I think we caught like 715 last time. If we jumped immediately to 8, or maybe it's 9, that we go back to crickets at open houses?
I think 8 would probably do it. Yeah.
Yeah, because there is some number that just shocks people, right? 7 probably doesn't feel bad. We've been here. We were here about
the first
10.
time. Yeah, it's first time in a little while. But yeah. I know we've had some people that were going to lock and didn't, and now they're wishing they did and waiting for something to happen. And
shout out one of my viewers, Sean, who is working with you, I believe. He asked me about lock. I'm like, dude, you should lock. He's like, I'm like, wait. No, I think he backed out for other reasons. But yeah, he should have locked.
Locking is yeah.
You like it, lock it.
Like it, lock it, and then refi later, maybe, if it works for you. But yeah, no alligators. So yes.
Very, very cool. Yes. Well, this is very interesting watching about demand. I'm going to do video number 2 about supply, because I got all kinds of different questions about supply. But if somebody wanted to reach out, buy or sell, or better yet, get a reference from a top 1% agent for their market, how would they reach out to you?
Yeah, so I do have a nationwide network, and I'm in the Seattle area. I can be reached at bethtraversogroup.com on my website. It's the easiest way to reach out to me, but I'm also on social. You can message me there. I'm easy to find. Just type in my name there and you'll see it.
Yeah, folks, if you, again, lots of you are shopping all around the country. I would definitely take Beth up on her offer for a referral to an agent. The best of the best flock together. It's very obvious throughout my career. So take it up, reach out to her, see what's what. Thanks, Beth.
Thank you.